When you get to a certain elo, your opponents walking directly into all of your theory becomes a little bit rare. You obviously can't prepare for a single online opponent because you just don't know who you're going to pair against. So you just have to remember all of your lines to the best of your ability. But in today's video, my opponent walked into 13 moves of perfect theory and got absolutely destroyed. Before we do get into the game though, if you guys do enjoy my content and want to help support the channel, feel free to check out my coaching options in the description below. Coaching is certainly not necessary to becoming a great chess player. However, if you're not someone who has all the time in the world to spend training and studying, coaching will absolutely save you years of time trying to do everything yourself. You can use code FIRST at checkout to get 25% off your first lesson, or book 4 lessons in advance to get your 5th one completely free. But if you guys want an alternative free option, you guys can feel free to join my Discord where you can collaborate with higher rated players who can help you get to your next rating goal. But other than that, let's get into today's game. So this is going to be a relatively short game. Just because I played this theory so perfectly. So this isn't actually my current theory for this opening. I learned the Sicilian twice. I learned the Accelerated Dragon a couple of years ago, and I've recently learned just a regular Con Sicilian that I've uploaded on my main channel very recently. But this Bowdler theory was it was from a couple of years ago. So there's this line where you play knight f6, and if white pushes, you can actually play d5. And if they take your knight, you get ridiculously good positions, and it's already almost something like -2. So d5, taking the center, kicking their bishop away. I'm not even sure what white is supposed to do here, but I know it's not this. And you can see my face there. I'm just like, wow, this position it doesn't look at first glance like it would be that much of a problem, but you've got all the central control, you've got the bishop active, you've got the open G file, so white can't really castle short, and you've just got easy development. So they played queen e2. I was thinking of a couple of ways to defend it. Bishop e6 was my first thought. Actually, no, b5 was my first thought, but queen f3 traps your rook. Then I thought bishop e6 looked pretty good. There's not much need to take central control with the e-pawn, considering we've already got so much central control, so defending the pawn with bishop e6 seemed okay. Then I kind of briefly looked at queen d4 and queen d5, trying to defend. I thought queen d5, there was knight c3, but then you have queen takes g2, but yeah, queen d5, there is also knight f3, and then they can play knight c3 in the reversed order, so I didn't like that. I was looking at some ideas where we could have a sequence here, but they end up getting a fork on c7 first, so I was just like, okay, let's go for bishop e6. Very simple move. I've got knight c6 to come. They play knight f3, just developing another piece. I was also thinking maybe there was options to play knight c6 and sacrifice the pawn temporarily, but I didn't really see any good reason to. So here I'm just, looking for knight c6. There are knight d4 ideas to try and undouble the pawns as well. And everything just looks bad for black here. You'd be surprised how bad this position is on evaluation. We'll look at the analysis together. But knight c3 here, and now I'm thinking immediately, okay, knight d4. If they take, they fix my pawn structure. I've got ridiculous central control, and I'm extremely confident. Right, like this game can just never be lost by me. This guy is going to have to go back and put this one into his repertoire because clearly he hasn't seen it before. And now he moves his queen back to stop the fork on c2. But now I can pin his knight to his queen, and it just all goes downhill from here. So pinning the knight there, he's going to have to damage his pawn structure. He's traded off his light squared bishop. There's no other way around this. And I'm looking for a way to mate him at this point. So I'm immediately thinking, okay, maybe I can start the sequence with knight takes and then hit his rook, but I didn't think my queen got in fast enough. So I was thinking, okay, do I play, maybe queen b6, queen d6 to try and elevate my queen one move sooner? But I thought, okay, if I play that, he has it's probably still winning for me if I play something like queen d6. But yeah, maybe he has knight b5, and I have to distract my knights, and I don't get the mates. I was very close to playing it, actually. But I wanted to look a couple of moves deeper, and go back to the more forcing line of knight takes f3. And I ended up landing on knight takes f3, g takes, bishop h3, rook e1, bishop takes c3, d takes c3, and rook g8 check, king h8, king h1, bishop g2 check, king g1, and bishop f3 check, winning the queen. That was my line that I saw. Just kind of taking full advantage of the fact that we've got an open G file, and everything just came together in this game. It was honestly one of the more perfect games that I've played in chess just ever. And it's funny because this is a line that I've barely studied. I didn't actually know this. Like, this is the theory for it, of course, because it's the perfect line. But I barely studied the Bowdler, this line of the Bowdler, when I first started learning the Sicilian. My opponent resigns here in a second, but we'll go through the analysis together and have a look at everything. I think he just stalls. There's no more moves played, so I will see you guys all in the analysis. So we'll quickly go through the analysis together. There honestly isn't too much to analyze. Let me actually see what the computer thought I played. I would assume this is like 100%. I briefly looked at the analysis already. Yeah, I played 98% accuracy, so I'm not sure exactly what the bad move was, but e4, c5, and we get the Bowdler attack. And I play this line of knight f6. I actually quite like this line. It's, after e5, d5, they need to play bishop e2, and then you get, like, knight fd7. You actually get very good positions from it, like, and f4. And black is already easily equalized, right? So I might even end up swapping back to this, because this isn't the theory in my Sicilian defense repertoire currently, but it is a really, really nice line. So they take here, which is a mistake, and then I take their bishop, they take my pawn on g7, and I take their pawn back on g7. So I've activated my bishop, I've got all this central control, meaning that they can't retake the center or reclaim the center with any pawn, so they'll never get central control back. I've got an open G file, I've got easy developments, and there's just nothing here for white. So they play queen e2. Of course, I was thinking maybe this is a decent move, but they've got knight f3. They don't have to come out with knight c6 straight away, knight f3, and then I don't really know what I'm doing here. Like, it says rook g8, but then they're going to get knight c3, and I feel like this was just... maybe it's actually not so bad. Here, d takes, and then I've got rook takes g2, so maybe this wasn't so bad, but I thought it wasn't the best line. If I play this, trying to defend, they've just got knight f3, tempoing my queen, so I didn't like this either. I thought knight c6 was interesting. It's actually one of the better moves. And if you take, what is the punishment? Is there any real punishment? Knight d4, I guess. I don't really see the punishment yet. What if you take the pawn? b6, and it's just trying to get you away. Yeah, and here it wants to... somehow there's something on this diagonal. Obviously, the queen has to stay relatively close to this c2 pawn to defend the check. So, yeah, even then, I didn't really like it. I didn't like giving things back to my opponent here. I thought just bishop e6, it's developing a piece anyway whilst defending this pawn. So I didn't see why not to play this. They play knight f3, and now I follow up with knight c6. This is just obviously the next move in our this opening kind of plays itself when your opponent gets into this hole. Because what else are you going to play? Are you going to, like, castle? No, probably not. You're going to play knight c6. They end up playing knight c3, and then I dive in with knight d4. Knight b4 also a move, but I think knight d4 just more central, makes a lot more sense. Taking is actually the better option here, allowing us to have just a huge center, but this is just resignable at this point. They do go back with their queen, and now we pin their knight to their queen. So castles, I want to look at these really quickly. So I had ideas of, like, queen d6. Of course, if knight b5, we're just going to take it, but it does slow down our attack. Engine is saying this, but I would think here takes here. Oh, it wants king h1. It wants you to just fully sacrifice the exchange as well. That's how it, thinks to get out of it. So I was right that I needed to be a little bit quicker. I took here immediately after g takes and bishop h3. Again, it's probably going to suggest king h1, but they play rook e1, and now the line plays itself with bishop takes, pawn takes, rook g8, king h1, bishop g2 check. Is there a better way? Bishop g2 check here. And I was just thinking, okay, I want to play bishop takes f3. Here, king over. Is there... Yeah, just bishop takes d1 here is gonna be the end of the road. They can't take back because this is mate. So you're probably gonna have some kind of mate here in the end as well. It thinks that it should be playing bishop g5, sacrificing the bishop, but you kind of get another bishop back. Rook takes, and then white clings to this position a little bit. You play queen c7 and the game goes on, but it's going to be very easy for black to win. We'll jump into another game for this episode because I feel like that was kind of short. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next game. So we've got another short game here that I thought was cool enough to add into this video. And it also highlights one of the biggest weaknesses in my game right now, which I won't spoil exactly what it is until we actually get there, but I'll explain it as we go. So against the English defense lately, I've been playing the Agincourt defense. I've briefly studied it. The one thing that I haven't studied is what to do when they transpose into the Catalan. I don't know what to play against the Catalan. If you guys have any good suggestions, let me know in the comments. Even though I play the Catalan, I just don't know what I want to play as the black side. So yeah, I'm kind of just free bowling it here. Not really sure exactly what I want to achieve. I like these ideas of b6 and getting the bishop active on a6. That seems like a decent plan to me. And my opponent's going for this just classic Catalan setup where you play bishop b2, you play for e4, and everything looks good for white. So I like taking here because I know he has to take back with the knights and can't take towards the center, otherwise the d4 pawn will fall. And now I'm thinking, okay, I want to go back with my bishop and I want to play c5. That's my next goal. So when I don't know what to play against certain openings, I always set little objectives, little things that I want to achieve in the position. And I try to inch my way closer to achieving them. And that's how I kind of get away with not knowing opening theory in every single line. So we are kind of just, freestyling this one. The idea is to come back to b7 with the bishop. I first play knight d5. I feel like him taking must be bad because I take towards the center. And I also thought bishop b2 must not be great because it just kind of allows me to trade off some pieces. And I think in this kind of position, trading off pieces looks good for me. Obviously I want to bring my bishop back, but when you don't have much space like I do in this position, you do want to trade off one or two pieces so you don't have to worry about your pieces getting in the way of each other. I think that's the best way to put it. That's why I'm okay with trading off some pieces here, especially with the black side against a much higher rated player. And then I drop back with bishop b7. So my idea now is obviously to play c5. It would be the optimal kind of way that this game pans out. You can't play c5 yet though because the bishop would be hanging on the other side. You also can't play queen d7 because of knight e5, which would be annoying. So I play queen c8, putting the queen on the same file as the rook, which in hindsight is not the greatest thing ever. But now I can play c5, get my bishop active, and I feel like I'm getting, back into this game a little bit. My opponent comes up with a nice plan though. He does miss the finishing touch on this plan. He allows me to open up my dark squared bishop even by playing d takes c5. It's not on the board yet, and I think he takes a while to figure it out. But d takes c5, and after bishop takes c5, he can dive in with his knight and get rid of my one of my bishops. He can force one of my bishops off the board. So you can see here, d takes c5. Now I'm thinking a little bit, okay, do I want to take with the bishop, queen, pawn? You've got multiple options here. I thought about taking with the pawn, but I thought, okay, I'm taking with the pawn to avoid opening up the c-file so the rook can't see my queen, but there are concessions that you make with that anyway. Also, we'll look at all of these lines in the analysis. There's a lot of lines to go through. I was also looking at lines where they can sacrifice their knight. I was looking at lines where I could get 2 pieces and a rook for my queen, and I thought that was actually better for me. We'll see in the analysis, I suppose. I haven't really looked at this game too much. But yeah, this is what I was calculating. There was just a bunch of sacrificial ideas where he can sacrifice his bishop on g7, then I go king h8, and then he can play knight takes b6. He can take my queen, but then I get the bishop, the knight, and the rook for the queen. I thought this is all good, but I missed his idea. And his idea was knight d6, and one of the bishops has to go. So I probably never want to, lose that light squared bishop. But the concession that you make when you do lose the light squared bishop is he's got if you take that knight, he's actually got bishop takes g7, which is very, very annoying because it hits the rook and your bishop is under attack and your queen is under attack. So you've got 3 pieces hanging simultaneously, which he does miss. But even though he does miss it, after bishop takes, there is queen takes, and he's got something like queen e5, he's got queen d4, and he can set up some batteries, some mating batteries there as well. So there are concessions kind of no matter how you play this. I don't really know. Queen c7, I'm not sure if that works. It feels like, I thought queen c7 there might just be e5. And after bishop takes g2, king takes g2, that knight is just really annoying. I'm not really sure what we do about that knight. Maybe we play, I just don't know, to be honest. But here I kind of landed on, okay, let's play knight c6 after queen takes, so he can't enter those 2 dark squares that are going to be annoying. And then I'm going to follow up with rook d8, and I'm going to have a decent time. So rook d8 here, and we can trade some more pieces, because my rook on a8 isn't doing too much. I need some more space. The way to make up for a space disadvantage is by trading off pieces, so if you're the one that has space in a position, you probably want to keep pieces on the board. And I realized that, okay, he's gonna keep harassing me with his queen and bishop. So I have to do something about that. I think I have to get my queen over to defend because it's the most flexible piece on the board. So I'm thinking, okay, let's trade a pair of rooks and maybe queen e8 seemed like the right idea. By the way, at this point, there were 30 people watching my game on Lichess. I think it was on the front page or something. I'm not really sure how that works. But halfway through this game, the pressure was on. I guess there was just so many people watching. But I was pretty confident at this point in the game. Before this moment, I was thinking, okay, this position feels a lot worse for me. But now I'm thinking, okay, this maybe is like plus 0.6 at most. I wasn't thinking that white had a big advantage. And my idea with queen e8 is to play e5, by the way, which it cuts off both bishops. Both bishops just die in the white position if I play e5. And I also have a bastion for my knights on d4, which will be useful later on as well. And I'll kind of leak the lesson learnt in this game. I think, and you can do this too, I looked at aim chess, you can figure out exactly or roughly what your weaknesses are in your game. And I find the biggest thing that loses me elo is I try to overextend myself to push for wins in drawn positions like this. This is a drawn position, of course. And I often try to overextend and make something weird, and I don't like drawing. I hate drawing, and I think I have to become a little bit more of a mature chess player and kind of accept that I can't win everything. Some games I'm going to have to walk away with a draw and just be, I'll take the draw and say, okay, I learned something from that. That's what I have to start doing. And I do that eventually in this game. This game ends up in a draw. I think it's no surprise because of the symmetrical pawn structure. I'm calculating right now e5, queen d7. I actually make a mistake here. I think that if I play d5, queen d7, there's rook d8. And obviously if he takes my bishop, I take the rook. But if he takes my queen, I take back with my rook. He plays rook d7. And I think in this position, I was thinking I had some way to mate him. So I was thinking, okay, after rook d7, I had bishop c8, and after rook c7, I had rook d8, sacrificing my knight because I have rook d1 check, and then I have bishop h3, but then he has... Oh, wait, did that work? Wait, rook c7, rook d8, and then let's say rook takes c6, check, bishop f1. Oh, maybe that did work, because my bishop still holds the c8 square. That's interesting. We'll look at that in the analysis. So that was my idea, but in the game I was like, oh, he just has back rank checkmate, but my bishop still holds the square that it came from. So this is what I'm thinking here. I end up not going for it. I think I actually checked the analysis. I ended up going for the best move anyway. or something along those lines. But this position is no longer better for, or no longer equal. It's a slightly better for white. But we end up in a decent position anyway because my opponent doesn't play accurately. So now I'm thinking of all sorts of ways that I can kind of get into the game. I'm thinking, okay, knight d4. I'm threatening knight e2 check, just picking up the bishop, so he can't play rook takes a7. In hindsight, he probably should have snapped off my knights and then taken my a7 pawn. That probably would have just been the easy win. But there's also, maybe if rook takes a7, there's also knight b5, forking both pieces. And now I do have knight b5 because he hasn't taken my knight. He's given me a lifeline here, and I can play knight b5. I'm thinking of ways, okay, is there any way I can play maybe rook d8? Is there anything? But I end up settling for knight b5, and immediately my mind goes to, okay, he wants to defend his bishop, so I'm going to get extra tempo. Like, I'm going to be able to play bishop d7 or bishop e6 or both. And then I'm going to be able to trade my knight for the bishop and play rook c8. And this is the moment where I'm like, okay, draw. Like, I want to draw now. And that's not because I was worried that I would lose, because I don't think I can ever lose in this position. It was because I guess I've kind of just learnt my lesson from losing drawn positions so often because I just push for a win. And I've just kind of accepted that, okay, this is the kind of position, especially against the 2400, where I'm not going to win. Like, I need to, like, grow up a little bit and accept, you know, this guy's good at chess. It's almost disrespectful to think he'll ever lose this kind of position. Maybe there are exceptions to this rule, but symmetrical pawns, same pieces on the board. Let's just be realistic with ourselves. Let's take that bishop, play rook c8, get our king active, and offer a draw. Like, I feel like that's the level I'm at. That's the level I should start acting like I'm at. And hopefully it's going to reflect on my elo, because I've looked on aim chess, and apparently I lose drawn endgames almost 15% more often than people around my level, which is bad. That's like an alarming figure. And I honestly, when I read that, I was like, yeah, it's probably true. Like, I do that. I do lose a lot of drawn positions. And, you know, the technique to kind of draw these kind of positions is kind of just make a fortress. That's what you should be aiming to do. So I'm thinking, okay, let's play. I was thinking bishop a6, but, you know, b5, and what does he do? b5, I can play a6, and there's really nothing for him here. As long as the kings can't get in, because our bishops are the same color, there's not going to be any kind of way for him to maneuver around the position. And now I'm thinking, okay, bishop d7, kind of a wasteful move, but I mean, nothing is going to ruin my position here unless I play something like a5. But now it's just about, okay, let's draw the position. I did decline a draw offer of his, which is kind of funny. But that's just because I knew that I could never lose. I was like in a position where I was like, okay, I'm not going to do anything crazy. I just want to look at the position a little bit longer. I've got 2 minutes. I can easily win this. So I play king e6 and he checks me. I play king e7, or do I play king d6? I can't remember. And then he plays bishop d5. He's trying to wrap around and get to my pawns, but I find an easy way to kind of just kill off the game with bishop e6, skewering the pawn and his bishop, making sure that he has to trade with me. And then he offers a draw, something around this point, where I think he trades bishops and then he offers a draw, and I actually decline. And it's because in this kind of position, you know, I'm not going to lose this, right? I honestly, I should quit chess if I lose this position. But I was thinking, okay, maybe there's some weird assortment of moves that I can play. I was mostly interested in, after king takes, firstly I was looking at f takes, but after king takes I was mostly interested in f5, king d3, king f6, king e3, and g5. And I was wondering, okay, is there any weird pawn break there? I landed on no, that there wasn't one. But it's worth looking, right? It's worth looking. You've got the time. You know that you can make a draw anyway. It's worth looking. You may as well. You're not hurting anyone. And, you know, I only wasted an extra 30 seconds of this guy's time to get a draw. So I think, all in all, I made the right decisions in this game. Definitely need to study up on the Catalan. That's, like, definitely on my to-do list. I've got a whole to-do list. You can see I'm looking at g5 here, but I realized that actually maybe I'm even losing in that case. Yeah, the game will wrap up in just a second. I think I just offer him a draw. And we'll look at the analysis for this game as well, because I think it'll be useful. But yeah, this game pretty much ends right here. I offer him a draw and he accepts. So yeah, we'll go look at the analysis. Okay, so we can begin to analyze this game. This is the Agincourt defense with e6. Grandmasters play this all the time against the English. It's one of the more popular lines against the English. We get d4 and we fully transpose just into a Catalan, right? So bishop e7, bishop g2, castles. I don't really know exactly what I should be playing. I know that c6 is fine, and then I know that b6 is also a thing that I see my opponents play, so I was just kind of trying to copycat what my opponents play in these kind of positions. b3, and I start to make, bishop a6 is not the best idea in this. Maybe you want to play a5, but, I'm not really... I feel like bishop a6 is fine. Again, I just need to go and look for a solid plan to play against the Catalans, something that works every time. So I go for bishop a6, knight d2. Engine's saying c5 here, but I take. I know that, okay, if he takes here, I'm just going to win a free pawn. That'll be good for me. But he takes with the knights, and then I dive my knight in. So I was thinking that this might be a good move for him. But apparently I've just got knight d7, and I get too many pieces active, and he's not getting active fast enough here. So he should be activating his bishop. And then I take. And you can see this position is already plus 0.8. That's literally just... Again, we've spoken about it in previous episodes, where it's just because of the pawn structure and our bishop. We have a slight space disadvantage, but it's mainly because this bishop, and you're going to get something like rook c1, you're going to get e4, and it's just those principled advantages that white has that black doesn't. So they play rook c1. I go for queen c8, trying to play c5, and after e4, I do play c5. d5 here would have been a good move, apparently. d5 is interesting. After takes and takes, I suppose it's just very difficult to stop this pawn now. Rook e8. What is the move? It wants rook e1. If this, knight takes here, queen g4. Wow, okay, queen g4. Okay, yeah, and it's to sacrifice the queen for back rank checkmate. Okay, let's not flex on me too much. But they didn't play d5, they played takes, and knight d6, which was very clever. After bishop takes, there is bishop takes. And 1, 2, 3 things are hanging in the position. You've actually got to play this, and this. And you've got 2 pieces and a rook for the queen, but your pieces are undeveloped. White's going to have an easy time here, especially because very little king safety as well. So they didn't find that. They played queen takes, and now knight c6 is the best move. It's only +1 now. After rook d1, I've got rook d8, queen f4. I take, and queen e1, which is queen e8, sorry, which is pretty much the best way that you can kind of handle this. And then after queen g4, they should have played queen c7. Playing in here, this would have made a lot more sense. Bishop a6, and how do they continue? Ooh, that's nasty. You're gonna play rook d8. And then rook d2, queen, bishops. Yeah, this just looks a little bit messy for black here, to be honest. I don't love this at all. And then bishop takes c6, and you can't take like this because of this check. Actually, maybe you can. Oh no, here you can't do it anyway because of this, and this. So after this, you would have to take on c7 here, and then you're just down a piece. Like you would have to go here, but then they've got this, I would imagine. This is actually not even so bad. You've got rook c8. But the engine does not like that kind of position at all. So I go e5 after their mistake of bishop g4. They play queen d7, and I thought that rook b8 or rook d8 must be the best idea. They're saying rook knight d4, which is interesting. But don't they just have takes? Oh, takes, I take this, right. So they've got to take here, take here, take here, take here. Oh, I go rook d8. Okay, that's interesting. And they can't swing back around, and I'm gonna get this without losing my pawn. Okay, but they don't play any of that. I don't play any of that. I play rook d8, allowing takes, and rook d7. I do like this though. Rook c7, rook d8. They have to play something like f4. Maybe I would have, if I saw this, I would have gone for this because they can't take because of rook d1 check here and here, and we're getting mates. So I could have played this. Damn, okay. Obviously, I don't think my opponent would have fallen for that. They probably would have found a better line. But I ended up going for knight d4. Again, if they just took here, there's like rook takes a7. This is very difficult for me to win now. Maybe I can argue I've got this. But king f1, here, 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 here. And I don't have this because of this. That's very depressing. Maybe I have to go like... maybe I've got bishop d7. You can't take. That's another trick because of bishop h3. If they play this, I've got this. And then they have to go bishop f3. They've got defenses for everything, damn. So you can't even, like, check them out of the way here. So yeah, they definitely should have taken on d4. But I get this fork, and now from this position onwards, I'm like, okay, it's completely winning. Oh, I actually did want to go back really quickly. Sorry for jumping back. But I did want to go back and look at some ideas where they had bishop takes g7. Yeah, bishop takes g7 even works here. This is what I was thinking for white. Takes. I thought queen check here, king h8. Oh no, it wasn't in this position. It was in this one. Where was it? What was I thinking? Was I thinking this, maybe? Yes, I was thinking b4. Okay, this was what I was thinking in the game, where I trade a bunch of pieces for my queen. So here I thought bishop e7, then I thought bishop takes g7 and king takes, and now I thought queen g4, king h8, and knight takes b6, and then I thought this would be okay for me, and I was correct. This is completely equal. This is the line that I calculated. I did miss that they could play knight d6. And this is somehow different. How is this different, actually? Rook takes here, and rook d1. And they're just getting in? I don't really see it still. I guess there's just a little bit too much pressure. Maybe there's too much coordination from white. I don't exactly know what the difference is, but I was right in the line that I did calculate, which is cool. Anyway, we get to this line where we trade off these pieces, and then this game, you know, they can try and, you know, play rook d3, but I think it's just going to be an easy draw no matter what. You know, rook d3, I'm probably going to go king f8, just a very natural kind of way to draw the game. And the game does end up in a draw. So I'm very happy with this game. We won't look too much at kind of the intricacies of this endgame because it's just all drawn. But a very nice game that I am very proud of. Against a high-rated player as well. Didn't really have any winning chances in this game, but I think, you know, when you're versing someone that's over 100 elo higher rated than you, this guy's 130 elo higher rated than me, you know, especially with black, you're probably not going to expect to have winning chances every game. So I think I played decently in this game. Maybe got a little bit lucky in some phases of the game, but I think we played well anyway. So I hope you guys enjoyed two games in this episode. Yeah, I'm trying to post daily on this account, so you will see another game tomorrow, ideally. But I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next episode.